Hey, what's going on guys? Welcome back to another video. So in this video, we will see how we can build our own reusable component library using Shadcn to build modern React apps faster. So if this sounds interesting, then stick around. Also, don't forget to subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. So let's get started. Do you know that almost 3 billion people have never logged on to internet? They have never taken the advantage of using Google, YouTube or AI tools that we use today. They have also missed out the opportunities for education, online jobs, conversation, and we have missed out their potential. Today, internet access means to global knowledge and equal opportunities. At giveinternet.org, you can sponsor internet fees and laptops for the student from some of the most undeserved communities. The local partners provide them skills like coding, design, healthcare, entrepreneurship. The only thing these students lack are internet connection and the laptop. Once connected, most of the students either find a job, freelance, or start their own businesses. Today, join the cause along with me in just few clicks. Every donation you made through this unique link will be matched by one of their donors. You can read the stories of every student on the platform, view every penny spent, and receive monthly updates showing you how you have changed their lives. And in return of your donation, you will win a free t-shirt or a hoodie. You can fill out this form and it will be open for 1 week. 4 winners will get a free t-shirt or a hoodie from giveinternet.org. So join me for this noble cause. Alright guys, so today we are going to explore Shadcn UI and we will see how we can use the reusable components and build our own component library. If you are following my videos, then you must have seen that I am using Shadcn UI to build my React apps. And many of you have requested to have a video on Shadcn UI and build our own component library. So let's go to the official website of Shadcn UI, and here you will see that using the Shadcn, we can build our own component libraries. And basically, Shadcn UI, it is a collection of components that we can just copy paste into our apps. And these components are customizable and it's a complete open source. And it has a lot of components which will help you to build your beautiful designs. Like you will see that this is a mailbox, a dashboard, cards, task, playground, and many more which you can just explore it. It also provides some themes which you can just check. You can have different colors and it will provide you different color themes which you can just copy paste into your React application and build your app faster. You can also find examples, and here are the different examples which you can just use it. If you want an authentication component, you can just go to the authentication and you can see here you have a ready-made authentication component which you can just copy paste. And another good feature is the blocks. So blocks are basically different components are clubbed together and then you make building block for the websites. Now you can also find all the details into their GitHub repository. So this is a GitHub repository where you have all the code base and the examples we can just copy paste. Now let's go to the documentation and let's understand about it. So here you will see that we already know it is not a component library, but it is a collection of reusable components in which we can just copy paste and use it in our application. Now the other point which to be noted is that as it is not library like Material UI or Bootstrap, so that's why it is not available or distributed via the npm. So that means you cannot install it into your project using npm install. Rather than you will just have to pick a component and then you can just execute or copy paste that component into your application. You can also go through some FAQs and let's go to the installation. Now if we want to install Shadcn UI into our project, then it supports a lot of different frameworks like Next.js, Vite, Remix. So what I will do is I'm going to follow the Vite. So I'm going to click on Vite and we can just simply follow the steps here. So what I'm going to do is let's create a project. So I'm going to copy this. We will go to our Visual Studio Code and I'm going to add it here and I'm going to have a dot here because I want my code to be scaffolded in this directory. So I'm going to click yes. And then we are going to select React and this will be a React TypeScript. So I'm going to click on React TypeScript. So we have this Vite project. Now the next what I will do is I'm simply going to have an npm install to install all the dependencies. Okay, so now you can see that we have installed all the dependencies. Now if we want to run our project, we can just use npm run dev. But before that, what I will do is I will go here and I will put a server here. All right, I'm going to put the port. So I will be having port 3000. All right, and then I will will also have a open as true, so it will open directly into my browser. All right, now what we can do is we can go to package.json and we see there at dev. So I will use npm run dev, and this is going to start my application on localhost 3000. So let's hit it, and we see that we have this Vite React project scaffolded. Now the next thing what we need to do is we also need to install Tailwind CSS and have its configuration. So I'm going to copy this npm, then we will go back to our project, and I will just open a new tab and I will put here, and this is going to install the Tailwind CSS, post CSS, and auto prefix. I will hit enter. All right, and now we can see that the Tailwind is also installed. Now the next what we want is we need to have the Tailwind config. So if we go here, then we see that we have this Tailwind config file. So let's do that. So I'm going to use it, and then I'm going to use --ts so that I can have a TypeScript file. So now this is going to create a Tailwind config. So we have this Tailwind config, and it has also created the post css config.js file. All right, let's go to the next step. Now what we need to do is we need to edit the ts config file, and we need to add this path there so that whenever we add any of the component into our project, it will be coming from this path. So what I will do is I'm simply going to copy this, and let's go to the Visual Studio Code, and we will go to ts config app.json, and here we can just simply add it. So I'm going to copy and I'm going to add it here. All right, so now we have this base and we also have the path. Let's go and let's follow the next step is we need to update the Vite config file. For that we also need to install the type nodes as it's a TypeScript project. So let's install that first, and then we go to the Vite config and let's add this configuration. So for the Vite config we need to add our path. I'm going to go here and add the path, and once we have the path we need to resolve that path. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put it here. So we are resolving the path that it will be an @, and this @ will be coming from the directory, and then in the directory it will be a source. Now once we have this, we need to run the npx Shadcn UI @latest init, and since you already know that we are not using npm to install the package, we are just using the npx to execute the package. Now the next step is we need to run the CLI, and we need to have this Shadcn UI init command, which is going to initialize the Shadcn into our application, and we are going to do it via npx and not via the npm. So before we do npx Shadcn UI @latest init, let's understand what is this npm and npx is. So from the slide you can understand this npm, which is a node package manager, where m stands for management of the packages, and the npx is a node package executor, where x stands for execution. So npm is just a package manager which is used to install, delete, or update JavaScript packages on our machine, and we have it in the node modules folder. While whenever we use an npx, it is just a package executor, and it is used to execute JavaScript packages directly without installing them. So that is the basic difference between the npm and npx. So for the Shadcn UI, to use it into our project, we will be using npx. So I'm going to copy this and we are going to execute into our project, and this is going to ask some questions which we need to initialize. So the first question is, would you like to use a TypeScript? Yes. Then which theme we want to use? We want to use a default or a New York. I will go with the default. Then I will use the color as gray. Then is your global CSS file. So for the global CSS file, what I will do is I'm going to use my index.css. So here I'm going to have the src index.css. Then would you like to use the CSS variables for colors? I'm going to use it as yes. Then we are going to have are you using a custom Tailwind prefix? I'm going to keep it as it is. Tailwind config located, we have this tailwind config.ts. So I'm going to have the tailwind.config.ts. all right, and then we will have this @components, and we will have the utils, and we are not using the server components, and then let's have this configuration file. All right, so now we have successfully completed this, and if we go and check, then we will have this component JSON file where we have all the information and everything. Now if we go to the index.css, then we see that we have this information in the index.css as well. All right, so we have done with the configuration, and now let's start using it. So if we want a button, what I will do is I will just remove everything from my app component. So I will go here, I will go to the app component, and inside the app component we are going to remove everything. So what I will do is Let's remove all. All right, and I will also remove this. Let's remove these. So what I will do is I will simply have an h1 here, and I'm going to give a class name as margin bottom 5, and here I'm going to have the Shadcn UI components. All right, and we should be able to see here Shadcn UI components. But what we have done in the component JSON is, if we go to the component JSON, we see all the fields are here, all the configuration is here, and we will also have a components folder. Now let's have a component installed. So if we go and if we want to have a button, so I'm going to copy this and we are going to execute to have a button, then it will add the button into our components. So we see that we have this component, but we have this outside the source. So what we can do is we can just fix this. I'm going to go to my app config. All right, and in this app config, what I will do is I will just delete this. All right, I don't want it. And in the ts config, what I will do is I'm going to copy all the ts config stuff here. So I'm going to go to my ts config, we copy, and we're going to put everything here. All right, so we have this as a ts config, and we have this ts config node.js. All right, now I'm going to cancel this, and now we can just delete this and we can just give a try. So now this time we will see that we have the source and we have these two folders. One, we have the component and we have the lib folder. So in the lib we have this tailwind merge, and if we go to the button, then we see that this is the actual button code that we got. Now what we can do is we can simply just use this, and this button has a different variants. So I will go to the app.tsx, and inside the app.tsx here I can just simply use it. So I will have a div, I'm going to give a class name, and this class name is the tailwind css class name, and I can use the button here. All right, so we have this button, and let's have this as primary. All right, I will go and see. So if we go here, then we see that we have this primary button. Now there are a couple of variants available. So if you go here, you will see that you have a default, which is the primary button. You have destructive, outline, secondary. So we can just give a try. So I'm going to copy, and I will have more buttons. So I'm going to copy, then I will have the more buttons, and here I can just simply give a variant, and this time the variant will be equals to destructive. Here we can again give a variant, and this time we can give a variant as maybe secondary. I will change this to destructive, and let's change this to secondary. All right, we can go and check, and then we see that we have different buttons. So this way we can actually have our own component library. So if we go and if we want to add something else here, we can just add some more. So I will just add maybe the page, and then for the page, what I will see is I'm going to use a very similar this one, and I'm going to put it here. And then instead of this, I will also have a, maybe let's have a font size, or maybe we have this hover, and on this hover I'm going to change this to 90. I will go here, and then I'm going to just copy, and I will add it here. This time the variant will be the page, and I'm going to change this to the page. We go and check, and we see that we have a little bit difference here, and you can just keep on customizing buttons as you want into your project. So I will just remove it, and I will also remove it from here. Now this is just a button, but now if we go and check on the components, then it has a tons of components. You will see it has a breadcrumb, button, calendar, cards, and you can use anything which you want. Let's say this one, the input OTP, it's a new one, so I want to use the input OTP. So if we want to use the input OTP, let's first execute that. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to execute, and we are going to have the input OTP into our components. So we have this input OTP here. Now if we want to use it, we have to add this information into our tailwind css. So what I will do is in the extend, we are going to add this, copy, let's go, and I'm going to go to my tailwind config. Let's go to the extend. So this is the extend. We have all the colors here, we have border radius, keyframes. So we already have the keyframes. Let's add the keyframe directly here. So for the keyframe, I have this one. I'm going to copy, and I'm going to put it here for the caret, and the animation for the caret blink will be this one. So I'm going to copy, and I'm going to put. All right, now we can just simply use it. So if we want to use it, what we can do is we can just copy this and try to use it. So I'm going to go here, but let's go to the app.tsx, and in the app.tsx I'm going to have a div, and I'm going to simply have this used here. All right, we will need to import them. So what I will do is I'm going to have the input OTP, then I will have the input OTP group, input OTP slot, and we can have the input OTP separator. So input OTP separator. All right. So now we can go and check, and we see that we have this input. So I can have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we can also change this. If we don't want a separator, we can just remove the separator and we can have all as an input. So I'm going to just remove this, and then if we go and check, then we have this all together. So that's where, I mean, you will save a lot of time. You don't need to build all the components by yourself. You can just simply use them and copy paste them and put it into your project. So now you can also build your own custom using these components. So let's say if we have a skeleton component. So here we see that we have a skeleton component. I'm going to copy this and let's execute it. So I will go here and add the execution. And now if I want to use it, we can simply go have a div. We can have a class name here, and inside the div we can just use the skeleton, and we can just provide some class name to the skeleton. I'm going to have this MB5, and here we can just give the width, height. So we can just copy them from here. So if I go here, we can just directly copy this and we can put it here. All right, and I'm going to change the width and I'm going to change the height. All right, now we can go and check, and we will be able to see that we have this. So it's very light, we don't see it. What I can do is I can have a bottom margin here, and now we see that we have this skeleton. Now let's see if we want to have a skeleton for a card. So what we can do is we can actually customize this. So I'm going to go here, and in this component what I can do is I can have my own maybe I will have a skeleton card.tsx. All right, so we have this skeleton card, and we can just write this skeleton card here. So what I will do is I'm going to have the export function, and we are going to build this component which will be a skeleton card component. So we have this function, and this function will simply return a JSX. So let's return a JSX, and what I will do is I'm going to have a div. I'm going to have a class name as flex call, and then we're going to use the space x, maybe space y. So this will be space y3, and inside this what I will do is I'm going to use the skeleton component which we have from the Shadcn UI, and I'm going to give the class name. We will have the height as 125 pixel. We are going to have a width as 250 pixel, and we are going to have the rounded as full. So I will have the rounded full. All right, and with this I will also need to have a div, and I will put a class name here. This class name will be the space y2, and then we are going to have the skeleton component. Again, I'm going to put a class name where height would be 4, and let's have the width. So I will have the custom width which will be 250 pixel. All right, and I will simply have one more. So I'm going to just copy and I'm going to add it here, and this will change to 200. So now we have this skeleton card component, and now we can just use it into our app.tsx and see how it looks like. So I will go here and I'm simply going to copy. Let's add it, and instead of the skeleton we are going to use the skeleton card component this time. All right, we can go and check, and you will see that we have this skeleton card component. There was some problem here, so we have to fix that. So I will go here and I will change this to rounded XL. So we just change it to round XL, and now if we go and check, then we see that we have this card component. Similarly, we can also have the search bar. So let's say if you want to have a search bar, so what I will do is I'm going to go here and I will have to add a new file which will be a search.tsx. All right, and for the search bar, if I want to have a function, then what I can do is I will have the export function search bar, and then we can just return here, and then we can just return a JSX. So what I will do is I'm going to change this to search bar. All right, and for that we will also need to have an input. So what I will do is I will have the npx shadcn latest. Oops, it will be UI @latest. I will have the add input, and this is going to add the input. And what I will do is I will just return this JSX from here, where I will have this input from the Shadcn UI, and then I will also have this button. All right, and I will have this div closed. All right, so we have this input, and what I can do is I can have a search here, and this could be a type submit, and here I can simply have a text, and I will have the search. All right, now if we want to use this, what I can do is I can simply go here, I can copy this and I can go here and put this as maybe search bar. So for that, if I go here, I will have to make this as uppercase. All right, and now I should be able to have a search bar. All right, if we go and check, then we see that we have this search bar. So that's how you can just use this and build your own component libraries. And all this Shadcn UI are reusable components. You can just customize those components by going to the components folder, and here if you're going to do something on the input, you can just go to the input and you can just do it. And this will actually help you to build your application faster. So I have my previous tutorial which are using Shadcn UI along with Tailwind CSS to build the application faster. So that's all I have in this video. I hope you like the video. A thumbs up is appreciated. You can also connect with me via Facebook or Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter for latest update. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. Thank you. Thanks for watching.